begun, please hand it to any city staff. You may also check the I do not wish to speak option on the card. This allows you to still voice your opinion on an item on the record without having to speak. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The city clerk will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and state your name for the record. We ask that you speak clearly into the microphone. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes, and there is a timer visible from the podium. When the light changes from green to yellow, your time is coming to an end. When the light turns red, your time is up. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear City Council meetings stream live on Facebook and YouTube, and online at goodyearaz.gov. Thank you for your participation in tonight's meeting.
I'd like to call to order the regular meeting, July 19th, 2021. Please join Councilmember Stipp in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gracious God, we pray that you will keep watch over us in these uncertain times. We ask that you grant us, your humble servants, holy inspiration that we may set our minds on the things that are right. We ask that you govern our hearts and minds tonight to do what is best for our city. Above all, we pray that we will remain faithful to you, and just as you have taught us, to love and care for one another as we look to dwell with you in perfect joy for eternity. We lift up our prayers for those who are suffering, those that are sick, those that have lost loved ones, and those that need your help. Be with them in their time of need and wrap your loving arms around your children. Tonight, as we break for a few weeks, we pray that you will watch over us and bring us back together safely. We ask that you be with all of your servants here and abroad, protect and guide them and their families. We thank you for your loving grace and power and wisdom. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Stipp, for that very, very meaningful prayer. Well, everyone is present. So just a moment. Things are falling apart. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the City Council on any non-agenda item within the jurisdiction of the Goodyear City Council. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Okay, let's get on the program. Will the City Clerk please read consent agenda items 1 through 7 by title only?
Number 1, approval of minutes. Number 2, approve expenditure of up to $1,030,000 for the replacement of a mobile command post vehicle for use by police and fire departments and related budget transfers. Number 3, approve fiscal year 2022 budget transfers related to the expenditure of the American Rescue Plan Act funds and the City of Goodyear COVID response. Number 4, approve the final plat for PB 303 West 2, Phase 2, subject to stipulations. Number 5, approve the replat of Lot 3 at Hudson Commons, subject to stipulations. Number 6, acceptance of a public utility and easement for the Cabana on Bullard Development. Number 7, approve the preliminary plat for Quick Trip Store number 1417.
Thank you. Council, anyone in the council wish to remove the consent agenda? All right, then can I have a motion, a second, to approve items 1 through 7? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I've heard a motion by Councilman Hampton and a second by Councilman Pizzillo. I just created it for you. It's all right. Sorry about that, Vice Mayor. All right, we have 7 public hearings on the agenda. The first public hearing item is a request for a use.
Nope. Oh, we need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just passed with that. I must want to get this over with. I had a motion and a second, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, let's go to the public hearing. There are 7 public hearings on the agenda. The first public hearing item is a request for the use permit for an A convenience use convenience store with a gas station. Public hearing is open. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Christopher Baker, Development Services Director. I'm presenting tonight on behalf of Jason Barr, which is he's a new planner in our office, so giving him a little bit of exposure to council, and he'll be coming up before you sometime in the future. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Tonight I have a convenience use permit for a Quick Trip, proposed Quick Trip. It's generally about 2.5 acres at the southwest corner of Bullard and McDowell, located north of I-10, located immediately north of the 2 new hotels there at Bullard and I-10 as well. And it is currently zoned C2 commercial. That's our general commercial zoning district. Again, it's at the southwest corner. Just to give you a little bit more of a macro view, the site is located right here. This is Harkins. Civic Square is under construction at this general location, and P.F. Chang's is right across the street. So the proposal is a typical convenience store with fuel islands and a canopy. It's about a 5,000 square foot store with 16 different fuel stations. We've worked with the applicant on enhancing their elevations. It is a little bit dark in this image. However, in your council packet, you did have a representation or conceptual elevation. There is contrast, there's whites and darks, there's awnings, there's also the corporate colors for Quick Trip, and it'll be somewhat analogous to the existing Quick Trip that's located on Australia Parkway. This is a copy of the existing or the proposed site plan rather. So the store is located right here. This is Bullard, and here is McDowell. There's a pedestrian enhancement feature here on the corner, much like a competing gas station that's a little bit further west by just north of Panera Bread. The access to the site is off of Bullard. There's a future common driveway that's located right here. That is a 3/4 access. So you'll be able to turn into the project from Bullard and a right turn in and a right turn out. There just is not a left turn there. There is also off of McDowell, because of the median that's existing already on McDowell, there'll be a right turn in and right turn out only. So the public hearing was held at the Planning Commission meeting, and there was a vote of 5-1 to recommend approval to council, and we're asking for your approval tonight. Thank you.
Very much. I understand that Jonathan Knott from QT is here.
I believe the applicant is here. Yes, ma'am.
Would he like to speak?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Jonathan Knott with Quick Trip, 1116 East Broadway Road, Tempe. Didn't really have anything to add. I actually did have a point to clarify on the presentation. The fuel canopy was called out as a double stack of 8. It's actually going to be a vertical 8, so all of them will be aligned right side by side, unlike what we have over on Pebble Creek, where they're kind of stacked right in front of each other. But that was the only point I wanted to clarify. If there's any other questions, I can answer those.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All right, would anybody in the audience like to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve a request for a use permit for a convenience store with gas sales to be constructed on approximately 2.5 acre parcel as described in the preliminary site plan signed February 24, 2021, submitted with the use permit application, which is located in the C2 General Commercial Zoning District at the southwest corner of McDowell Road and Bullard Avenue, subject to stipulations.
So moved.
Second.
Acre. So a motion was made. I tell you, you're keeping me honest tonight, aren't you? Okay, motion was made by
I made it.
Councilman Stiff, and a second by Councilman Kano. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've read the public hearing. Do I need to repeat that? No. Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. The next public hearing is a rezone for Australia Common District. Going to open the public hearing. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Alex Listinsky, Senior Planner. Tonight I have the Australia Commons District rezone. The property location is this red square on the map here. Goodyear Civic Square is just northeast of the property. We'll zoom in here a little bit, but I wanted to give a bigger picture of the map. It's located at the northeast corner of Australia Parkway and Roosevelt Street, or the southeast corner of Australia Parkway and Interstate 10. It is just north of the Aldi and the pad site that's wrapping up construction. Recently, you've seen the curve at Australia Commons rezone preliminary plat come through, and then the subject property is just west of the Fulton Homes development. The request tonight is to rezone the property from preliminary PAD, which we'll talk about the history in a second, to approximately 10 acres of C2 general commercial and approximately 17 acres of MF24, that's our multifamily district, with a PAD overlaid to modify some of the development standards. So like I said, history-wise, in 2015, the property was designated as preliminary PAD. That was during the rezone for the Fulton Homes development. So the PAD locked in the single-family residential and this orange multifamily residential, which IDM has an apartment complex built on today. If any action were to take place on the property, a rezone would be required given the nature of the preliminary PAD zoning. So that's what we're here to do tonight. In 2017, the south portion was rezoned for the Christopher Todd Communities project that exists today. In 2018, the red piece here just south of the site was rezoned for the Aldi development. And then in 2020, like I mentioned, this area was zoned for court homes for the curve at Australia Commons. The PAD overlay does provide some deviations from the city's development standards. So the first one is the additional permitted uses. We wrote into the PAD drive-through restaurants as a permitted use and gas stations. The developer did have some users lined up, and in order to work together, partner with the city, and make that process a little bit easier, we just evaluated it all during this rezone rather than doing individual use permits for each site down the road. And this isn't inconsistent with what the council has recommended staff to do by removing that use permit process for drive-thrus and gas stations. The second bullet here is the design guideline that drive-through windows typically are not allowed to face public streets. Now, in the past, and most recently in many of the drive-thrus you've seen, staff does recommend approval of a deviation of this standard to allow the drive-through window to face public streets, but that's with appropriate screening. So written into the PAD is the requirement that those drive-through windows be screened, similar to what we have approved in the past. Then the final C2 development standard change is the landscape setback between the C2 and multifamily property. So we're keeping the same setback and requirements, we're just moving it to the multifamily side. So the developer does have a multifamily developer lined up, and they're here today if you have any questions for them, but they are okay with this standard, accepting the additional setback on their property side as opposed to the commercial side. On the multifamily development standards, the first development standard deviation is that the setback adjacent to public streets. So in this scenario, it's to the north, it would be I-10. There's a landscape setback requirement that the building setback be fully landscaped. One deviation that staff was comfortable with recommending approval was to allow the trash enclosure compactor to encroach into the setback. It is against the 12-foot wall that would be required. So we're keeping it away from the single family to the east and then keeping it away from any entry point in the community. So we thought this did make sense to change that standard. And then this second bullet here is an added standard. So the design guidelines and zoning ordinance doesn't have a requirement for what the landscape setback to single family between multifamily and single family. So we did come to an agreement with the developer to include a 15-foot landscape buffer. So the building setback remains the same, but what we did add was 15 feet from that property line does get landscaped before any parking spaces. So that's similar to what I think you saw recently with the Innovation Villas near the Fries at Yuma and Saraville. And then the final request was to increase the accessory building height from 12 feet to 22 feet. This developer did have a desire to do a 2-story accessory building, so a maintenance garage where they can put, I believe, some office space up top and have their maintenance trucks in the garage. So the PAD overlay does include some design guidelines. They're not very prescriptive, so it is open to some changes, but this is just general guidance to provide cohesiveness between the Aldi site, the apartment complex, and these proposed users. So one of the elements included was this little tower element, just kind of adding some design features that remain consistent throughout the center. The applicant and staff have been working on the multifamily elevations. As we know, council has had concerns in the past about multifamily developments. This was the final iteration that was provided to us in the project narrative. Now, just as rezones typically go, site plans and elevations are not included with the rezone application, but we do use it as time for staff to comment and provide any preliminary comments that we can to get a developer close to ready by the time they submit. So the applicant, like I said, the multifamily developer is here today and is open to any feedback as this is the last chance it is before you being presented to you tonight. So if you do have any feedback, I'm sure they are open to hearing what you have to say and working with staff to deliver those. And then this is a conceptual site plan. So along Estrella Parkway on this west side, you'll see there's a proposed gas station, 2-3 drive-through buildings. I think all of these are these north pieces. I don't believe they have users lined up, but conceptually here, they show them as drive-through developments. There's a main road coming in from Estrella Parkway, and then a main road that ties all properties north-south together, and then leading into the multifamily complex. But as I mentioned, site plans are not approved with rezoning, so staff would, if the property was rezoned, we would review a site plan for the entire multifamily piece, and then each pad site would require separate site plan reviews for before approval. As far as public comment goes, staff and the applicant held a Zoom meeting on June 2nd. No one from the public attended that meeting. And then Planning and Zoning Commission had a public hearing on July 7th, and there was no one from the public who spoke at that meeting. Otherwise, staff has not received any other objections or comments about the project. We do find that it does meet the requirements of the general plan, zoning ordinance, and engineering standards, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval on July 7th. And that concludes my presentation. The applicant is here available for questions or a presentation as well, and I'd be happy to answer any.
Thank you very much. I see Ed Bull is the applicant. Would you like to come before us to speak?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Ed Bull, 1850 North Central Avenue. I'd be honored to come before you and speak. I'd like to make a couple introductions first, if I may, and then I'll ask you whether or not you want me to speak. But be that as it may, I'm here with Allison Reese from Evergreen, also which is the primary developer on the site, which has been working this whole corridor for over 15 years. Also, Nate Frankie and Brandy Wilson from IDM are here. They're the multifamily developer. As Alex mentioned, both Evergreen and IDM have been working with staff on various kinds of things, be it setbacks, landscaping, building location, materials, articulation, colors, so on and so forth. And I believe tremendous progress has been made, and we know we still need to go through the site plan review. Having said that, I also, some of you have previously met Allie Bull from our office. Why she wants to do what I do is beyond me, but at any rate, she thinks she might want to, so she comes to some hearings with me and helps a lot behind the scenes. We very much appreciate recommendations for approval from both staff and the Planning Commission. We discussed things at length, including our presentation, PowerPoint to the Planning Commission. We accept the 24 stipulations. We know that it can be challenging on the council level, commission, and staff levels when we're talking about a site that has been identified for commercial use. And I want to emphasize that that's Evergreen's core business. They are predominantly and have been since I first started working with them 25 years ago, primarily retail developers. Going way back to Greg Alpert and before his passing away, and with Laura Ortiz while Greg was still with us, and since then they have been and remain primarily a retail developer. This site is one that they have never been able to develop with retail or as an office complex. If you want to see it, I'm happy to show you a slide of the over 50 acres that they've developed in this east side of Estrella Parkway from McDowell all the way down, running down to Van Buren. It's not for a lack of trying. It's not because they're impatient, tie it up one day, try to rezone it the next, or change it the day after. They've worked in earnest on this site for over 15 years. All of the reddish color that's on here is, except for this piece, which is colored red, that's not yet developed, but all of the other reddish color from McDowell, which now disappeared from the scene, all the way down has been developed by Evergreen or under the guidance of Evergreen, which means over 54 acres. On this particular property that has not worked, Laura Ortiz and other advisors is absolutely convinced it will not work. We don't think it's a matter of simply being patient, which I know this council has discussed at other work sessions and so on. This is a real developer who's really worked this site with an underlying landowner, because Evergreen has it on a ground lease, an underlying landowner that the city has some experience with in the past. But Evergreen is very serious about it. They, on the 10 acres, have 3 users lined up. All 3 of those have had their site plan pre-app meetings, and if you say yes tonight, they're ready, set, go to get underway and put a shovel in the ground. Same way with IDM, who's had their site plan pre-app and continue to be in discussions with staff, and they too are ready to go back in for site plan official submittal and pulling permits and so on. So the goal is to get this site, which has been vacant and is going to, I believe, remain vacant for a long time if Evergreen's not allowed to proceed. The goal is to get shovels in the ground and get this corner developed. Now, if you want, I can go through a number of other slides, but I assure you that Evergreen and IDM have worked closely with staff, as Alex indicated. I agree with everything Alex said in her presentation. We accept all 24 stipulations and are anxious, subject to your council's approval, to get back into site plan review, pull permits, and get this mixed-use development built. If you want more slides or more presentation, I'll do it. Otherwise, I will be, if you're happy, we're happy.
We'll wait to the council's discussion and see if there's anything they want to see. All right, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing. Will the city clerk please read resolution number 2021-2170 by title only?
Adopt resolution number 2021-2170, declaring as public records those certain documents filed with the city clerk titled Official Supplementary Zoning Map 21-02, City of Goodyear AZ Rezone Case, Estrella Commons District Commercial Legal Description, Estrella Commons District Multifamily Legal Description, and Estrella Commons District Pad Overlay.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve resolution 2021-2170? Do I hear that motion?
So moved. Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Loretano. Open for council discussion. Councilman Pizzillo?
When it comes to the design guidelines, one thing I'm always very set on is to make sure we have some diversity in colors and that it flows with what's already there. It's not something that just stands out. Make the colors and the articulation. I'll leave that up to you, but maybe some stone, some things on the facade, a little different colors, a little bit of look on the buildings itself. I know Ed, we've had these discussions before, so Ed knows where I'm coming from on this. And I think it's real important that that happens on the design when you actually get to the multifamily and the rest to kind of blend into that. So it would be very appreciative to try to work out something there for us. It looks like you want to say something there.
Here, well, I was teasing Christian and that I was telling him before that we were going to have all of the buildings match Christian's shirt tonight, which I really like. I'm not sure that's what you're suggesting.
No, that was probably a little over the top there, Ed.
But we will avoid pale shades of tan, tanner, and tannist. We appreciate the council's directive for families of colors in a building and multiple families of colors within the overall development. And I'm not the color expert, but I know it's somewhere between tan, tanner, and tannist and circus tint, and find that balance that looks good and has meaningful contrast, and that's been the goal and will remain the goal.
Thank you.
Any other? Councilman Loretano?
Yes, I agree. It's a great project for that area. It hasn't developed. It needs to develop. I know we're going to work on the road, so the road should get done, I assume, prior to this starting, which is good because the traffic there is pretty bad. I like your shirt. I think some trim in that color would actually look really good.
We think so too.
You know, and for me, it's the same thing as what Councilman Pizzillo said. Some texture. I really am a fan of texture, whether it be stone, metal, or something along those lines. And we're saying no tan, no gray either. So, you know.
No gray.
Or what?
Gray.
Yeah, we're going to be running out of color, so I think we're going with orange. So I appreciate. I'll be voting for it.
Councilman Stiff?
I'm going to reiterate the color thing just one more time so it's perfectly clear to everybody. Grays and browns are not the favorite in this community when it comes to multifamily. But Alex, how many units are we talking about here?
Councilmember Stipp, I might ask the applicant.
Yeah,
They
anybody?
might know off the top of their head.
352? Okay. And do we have any idea how many units are in the, not the curve, the one around it?
That is also their project, so they might know
Oh.
that as well.
So if we get an idea of size and scale, those are roughly the same size developments, okay. You know, this is a very difficult location. None of us like putting residential up against the highway, but this appears to be far enough away that we've kind of put some of that buffer in. Our community is drained against the number of multifamily projects, but on this particular site, I'm not sure that even a townhouse concept would actually work. It's too close to the freeway, and it's and I know that we've all hoped for something more than just fast food restaurants along Estrella Parkway, but again, there's just, times are changing. And I think I go through all of that to simply talk about the other side of I-10, the northern property that Evergreen owns. Please don't target that for a multifamily conversion, because I don't know that there'll be a lot of love for that. So I'm just going to be perfectly clear, at least from my perspective, that north of I-10, that area between McDowell and I-10 that Evergreen owns, which is next to the, you got to find something else besides multifamily to put there. So if you're thinking about it, because you've had 2 wins, please don't push for the third, at least from my perspective, because I don't know that I would give it. But on this particular location, seeing the presentation tonight and looking at where we're at, I don't know that we have a lot of other options besides this. The product that you've built previously and that whole area has developed much differently than I think we originally envisioned, but it's not bad. It's a good alternative to what we have. So your past efforts are being rewarded with this one, but it ends south of I-10, and we got to do something different on the north side if you're not going to develop it into a retail site. That's my 10 cents worth.
Councilmember Kano.
We did have some small group meetings about this because it's an important corner in our city, certainly on Estrella. And I understand the benefits of a mixed-use project, having the housing mixed with the commercial. I have to say I was disappointed that it's a string of fast food restaurants, and I was hoping that the commercial would be more robust in that it would create a destination, whether to shop or to have a restaurant, and having the gas stations, and apparently too, I'm not sure if there's going to be 4 drive-thrus, that eliminates the walkability, sort of the integrated idea of the mixed use, and driving through there will just be crazy. And so as we go forward and look, I would just see if we could do something a little bit more substantial than drive-throughs in the entire strip.
Vice Mayor Hampton.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's not very much C2 left, especially looking at that QT map compared to the rest of the area here. So taking more C2 away, I mean, yeah, I'm a little disappointed about this more fast food and more apartment right there as well. But how many pads did we say are going to be there?
How many pads? There's 4.
And do we know the users who put the pre-apps in so far?
There's 5 pads.
5. I'm sorry, I wish I could count. The pre-applications we've had was Speedway gas station on the corner, Chick-fil-A just north of that, Whataburger north of that, and then these 2 pads. No pre-applications yet.
Okay. And then, yeah, and it's the walkability that Laura mentioned as well. I mean, I've already seen that big white, the other project that they own, a lot of people walking across the street. So the walkability I am concerned about too, because I know if we do put people here, I mean, they're going to walk to the Walmart and they're going to walk to the very happening plaza across the street that is almost completely full. I'm just curious, where will they all cross at Roosevelt there, I imagine, because there's really no other way to get there. And then yeah, a lot of small business owners I've been talking about, they're running out of space in Goodyear for small areas. So I'd love to see more actual commercial in this space as well, just because I know there's a demand for it, because a lot of small business owners are telling me they can't find retail areas to actually set up shop. So I know a guy who's looking for a third one. He's 3 businesses. He's setting up a third one in Goodyear here too. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty happening corner. I mean, Estrella is a big gateway for our city, and very, very popular. I have no doubt Chick-fil-A will do well anywhere in Goodyear that they're at. But yeah, I'm trying to think what other questions I have now. Okay. Yeah, that is one of the things that I think the appetite for at least some residents I've been talking to, they always call the other projects, those large, huge white apartments that are down the road there. So, yeah, I think to Stip's point, I think, yeah, residents are, at least in this area, are feeling that there's a lot of stuff there already. But I guess I'd love to see something with multiple colors and everything else as well, the walkability. And I'm glad this is away from the freeway as opposed to that gray one that is feels like it's right up against the freeway near the Harley Davidson dealership. So that's helpful. But okay, that's just all the comments I have. So.
Finished? Well, I just want to compliment Evergreen. You've been a good investor in Goodyear. You've been there for quite some time. And I understand how, when you're a property owner and the market changes, it makes it very difficult. And COVID has changed our market. And the other thing I will say is that people attend. Families, they go to the drive-ins. They like the convenience of it. They like the safety of it. So they are popular, and it's during this time. And everything we do in this city, in that vein, is market-driven. So it sort of takes it out of our hands, puts it in other hands, even though we strive at all times to get that, dress shop, to get that market, to get that. I mean, we have, and we will continue to do that. But in this case, I think it went for the right direction. So let's vote on it. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Will the city clerk please read ordinance number 2021-1509 by title only, please?
Adopt ordinance number 2021-1509, conditionally rezoning approximately 27 acres from preliminary planned area development PAD to multifamily MF24 and general commercial C2 with a PAD overlay, amending the zoning map of the city of Goodyear, providing for non-abridgment, providing for corrections, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and providing for penalties.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve ordinance 2021-1509? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Stiff and a second by Councilman Gazillo. Open for council discussion. I think we've discussed that quite a bit. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we're going to number 10. This is a public hearing item. Plan development amendment to amend the restated and amended final plan area development for the Ballpark Village in Ballpark Valley South. Open the public hearing. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mayor. Karen Craver, Principal Planner. The currently approved Ballpark Village and Ballpark Village South PAD is located on the east side of Estrella Parkway. It's 254 acres in size. Ballpark Village is the ballpark itself and the area immediately around it. Ballpark Village South is the development complexes in the area just to the west of them. This proposed staff-initiated PAD amendment is to add 14 acres right here at the southeast corner of Estrella Parkway and Lower Buckeye Parkway to the Ballpark Village and Ballpark Village South PAD. And with this amendment, the 14 acres will be part of Ballpark Village South, which recently has had 3 site plan approvals granted for multifamily developments in that area. They are Solace, Rev, and Pros, all to be branded at Ballpark Village. The property is currently owned, here's the 14 acres here in red, is currently part of the City Center Air Park PAD, and this is the conceptual land use map for that PAD, and it's owned by Sun MP, longtime property owners here in the city. And as shown on the map, it has underlying zoning of C2 general commercial and I1 light industrial. And understanding the incompatibility of that I1 light industrial with our ballpark, Sun MP authorized staff to initiate this amendment to change the zoning on their property. And with that authorization, Sun MP requested that the zoning that was placed on the property allow for all commercial development, all multifamily development, or a mixture of both. So staff went ahead and selected Res MXD for those 14 acres. And as you can see, that's an existing underlying zoning category already within the Ballpark Village PAD. So we thought, why create a separate PAD for this 14 acres when we have something available and adjacent to the 14 acres existing within the Ballpark Village PAD. And with the, again, existing development standards for Res MXD within the Ballpark Village PAD, they will allow for all commercial, all multifamily, or a mixture of both, as was requested by Sun MP. Skip one, I'm sorry. And kind of on a parallel track to this PAD amendment, while we were working on it, in June, we had a pre-app meeting for what we've been referring to as Solace North. And that would be a horizontal mixed-use project on that 14 acres. And by horizontal mixed use, I mean that they are creating multifamily development here on, probably 75% of that 14 acres. But up here along Estrella Parkway, they will be retail restaurant parcels that will be there. So a mixed-use project. And I'm happy to say, and especially after the previous discussion, that they've agreed to a stipulation that there will be no drive-thrus on that retail and restaurant property. And just as a reminder, this area here in the shaded area is Solace at Ballpark Village. That's the north end of Solace at Ballpark Village that was approved. And they've also created a connection between the two properties here, so there'll be vehicular and pedestrian connections that, the residents who live in the South Park can go to those restaurants and retail parcels, and it's going to be a very good development, and a development that we've all been looking for in this area around the ballpark, I believe. We did our standard public outreach. We had one property owner within Ballpark Village who just inquired about the amendment, what was being done. They didn't have a position either way. And we had one resident outside of the PAD who was very supportive of the amendment. And the amendment, it meets all the zoning ordinance criteria for rezone, and staff and the Planning Commission recommend approval subject to the stipulations in the ordinance in your staff report. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have of me. And surprise, surprise, Mr. Bull is here for this one as well.
I was about ready to ask if the applicant would like to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Still Ed Bull, 1850 North Central. On behalf of Sun MP, I agree with every word that Karen just said. We appreciate the recommendations, and I will be happy to sit down if you would kindly order me to do so.
Thank you very much. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Okay, then, I'm going to close the meeting, public hearing. Will the city clerk please read resolution number 2021-2173 by title only?
Adopt resolution number 2021-2173, declaring as public records of certain documents filed with the city clerk titled Official Supplementary Zoning Map number 21-01A, Legal Description, and restated and amended final planned area development for Ballpark Village and Ballpark Village South, dated July 2021.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve the resolution 2021-2173? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Kano and a second from Councilman Pizzillo. Open for council discussion. Yes, Councilman Hampton.
No, I appreciate the mixed use there. I think I'm really hoping the ballpark will be a great place. We can get more commercial and more things done there, especially with all the new residents that are going to be right down there as well. So I appreciate the no drive-through right there, especially with the ballpark right there. I think that'd be nice as well. So
Any other comments?
thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Kano.
Aaron, can you show us other commercial property that's still available in the ballpark area?
Sure.
It's all the red.
All of what you see up here in red is underlying mixed use. So there's a possibility that commercial development can occur throughout that area around the ballpark. In addition, as you know, there was a retail liner built into the ballpark itself that can also be developed with retail and shops and restaurants.
Thank you.
Any other comment? I'd like to make a comment. Sun NP has been with us a long time in the community, and I appreciate their work when they were here, specifically City Center, and I worked with them, and so I greatly appreciate them coming to terms on this piece of property. It's very meaningful, so thank them for me. All right, discussion's finished, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Will the city clerk please read ordinance 2021-1513 by title only?
Adopt ordinance number 2021-1530, conditionally rezoning approximately 268.5 gross acres located on the east side of Estrella Parkway between Bullard Avenue and just north of West Goodyear Boulevard to add approximately 14 acres to the existing 254.5 acre restated and amended final planned area development pad for Ballpark Village and Ballpark Village South. To rezone the approximately 14 acres to the existing pad underlying res mixed zoning designation, to clarify and consolidate the existing pad residential permitted uses table, to update the existing pad land use summary, and to revise the existing pad building types to more appropriately identify them as land use types, amending the zoning map of the City of Goodyear, providing for non-abridgment, corrections, severability, and an effective date and penalties.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve ordinance 2021-1513? Do I hear that motion?
So move.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Campbell and a second from Councilman Hampton. Open for council discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council.
We're down to 11. This is a public hearing. Is a rezone approximately 240.32 acres. It's located at the northwest corner of 181st First Avenue and Yuma Road from R1-4, R1-6, and R1-7 to R1-4. Single-family detached zoning district with an R1-4, reduced development standards with a PAD. Opening of the public hearing. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor, Lord, and Council. Christian Williams, planner here with City of Goodyear. I'm here before you this evening with a rezoning request from Don Fortuna to conduct rezoning on a property within the city. The property is approximately 240.32 acres, and it is located at the northwest corner of 181st Avenue and Yuma Road. It is within the central part of our city, and it is west of Cotton Lane in an area which is referred to as West Goodyear. The property is currently zoned R16 as part of the Paseo Place Parcel 1 case, as well as La Privada R14, R16, and R17. And the site is located in the map in this purple area that I have starred right here in the middle. Zooming in a little closer, you can see that the project is west of a county island and county residential homes, north of a county island. It's also in county residential homes as part of Las Ventanas and Paseo Place Parcel 2, south of county islands and county residential, as well as a development called Amber Meadows, and it is east of county agricultural lands in the Buckeye Planning area. So the site, again, is right here, and you got Amber Meadows, and you've got Paseo Place down here. For a brief history on the property, in 2006, the portion of the 43.53 acre site formerly known as Paseo Place Parcel 1 was rezoned to R16, Single Family Residential District. Additionally, the 198 acre site that was La Privada was rezoned to planned area development and called for R16 and R17 zoning districts within the site. So right here, you've got Paseo Place Parcel 1, and this little Tetris piece is La Privada. The zoning also called for a school site to be located at the northeast corner of Harrison Street and 183rd Avenue. That's this blue area right here. In 2018, the 198 acre La Privada was rezoned by a PAD to approximately 69 acres of R17, approximately 48 acres of R16, and approximately 76 acres of R14. And today, the new 240 acre La Privada, including both Paseo Place Parcel 1 and the original 198 acre La Privada, requests to be zoned R14 reduced with modifications to account for lot diversity as well as a central amenity center. That's where we are today. A couple highlights from the amenities. For amenities, a 6.5 acre centralized park will be located in the heart of the community. It will be supported by a localized, usable, active open space area, and the 6.5 acre centralized park will include a community center. And the community center will consist of a covered and connected community space, which may be outdoor or in community center to feel like a unified building. This allows for small and large group gatherings and will surround a centralized event lawn. That lawn, and then that will be shaded and trellised outdoor kitchen adjacent to it. That will have prep facilities, built-in countertops with at least 2 gas barbecue grills. There'll be a splash fountain with perimeter seating, a shaded and covered permanent game and table area, or game room, if you will. And that might include games like ping pong or checkers or things of that nature. The center will also have things like cornhole or bocce ball or things of the like. There'll be a gas fireplace and a fire pit with seating. And the community center will be adjacent to a sports court, which has amenities such as basketball courts or Goodyear's favorite, pickleball. Additionally, tot lots and sports courts will be located within each parcel identified in the land use plan, except for parcel 6, which shall be dedicated as a school site. On the left image, you'll see the proposed layout of that central amenity center. On the center top area right here, that's a conceptual, that's of the event lawn, so that's the front of the building. The top right is the inside of that little event lawn looking towards the building. This is a view from the east of the center, looking towards the center and the bocce ball and cornhole. And then these are some illustratives of some of the amenities that might be involved in the center. A few highlights from connectivity. While today's La Privada proposal largely includes R14 reduced, lot diversity is provided in this development through the use of minimum percentages of lots by size. Typical R14 reduced developments have 40-foot wide lots by 100-foot deep lots and are 4,000 square feet. This development proposes a minimum of 35% of the lots be 45-foot wide by 120-foot deep, a minimum of 25% of the lots to be 50 feet wide by 120-foot deep, and a minimum of 15% of the lots to be 55-foot wide by 120-foot deep. This infill development will feature and continue trail connections and will feature a 6-foot paved path along the western bank of the emergency conveyance channel, which I'm just going to call the conveyance channel, an 8-foot DG equestrian trail within the conveyance channel, a private system of paved 5-foot wide trails to connect all the development parcels to the central amenity, and pavers where those trails cross the roadway. They will construct the Maricopa Trail along Yuma Road on the north side, and they will create a raised median island right in front of that central community area on 183rd Avenue. Additionally, the rear yards walls along the conveyance channel will have a minimum of 2 foot of wrought iron on top of the CME block, so there's some nice views into that open space. It's a pretty big open space. It's over about 120 or greater feet. To highlight some streetscape elements, similar to what was discussed with the neighboring Silva Trails at West Goodyear, this development is working with the city to brand this area as West Goodyear and will feature the words West Goodyear adjacent to their monumentation at Perryville and Harrison and at Yuma and 183rd Avenue. And it will incorporate West Goodyear themes into the entrances. They will also build 5 shaded agrarian trellis-style seating areas as focal points. An example of that would be right here. It also contemplates that the development will include detached sidewalks and provide 5.5 feet of planting buffers between the street and the sidewalk. The HOA will maintain those plants in the strip to ensure that they're maintained, and if something goes out, the HOA will replace it. And decorative pavers will be included on all residential driveways, and decorative pavers will be included at the main entrances into the development parcels off of 183rd Avenue as well as Harrison Street. Those elements will be finalized at the preliminary plat process, so you'll get to see that here when pre-plat comes before you. Finally, I would like to address a 7.5 acre parcel that is zoned R1 for reduce, but is intended for a school site. Specifically, I want to tell you how it relates to the approved zoning within the adjacent Amber Meadows. The following pages are from the existing Amber Meadows Planned Area Development zoning, which contemplates a 7.5 acre school site to be located at the northwest corner of Harrison and 183rd Avenue. It is denoted on their land plan, which is right here. And you will also see that in their PAD, they outline that the La Privada and Amber Meadows sites combined will create a cohesive 15-acre school site. This was affirmed in a letter attached to the zoning in 2005 from the school district, and the tabs have been filed by Westpac, which was the then owner of Amber Meadows, and to confirm that donation. The 2005 staff report and the 2005 ordinance also affirm that. The La Privada zoning before you today provides stipulations that ensure they reserve, meaning La Privada, a 7.5 acre on their site at the northeast corner of Harrison and 183rd to be combined with the existing zoning for Amber Meadows school site. So again, this is from the Amber Meadows zoning. 7.5 acres equals a total of 15 acres. And La Privada is rezoning this Tetris piece with their new friend, and they're affirming that they will continue that 7.5 acre donation to the school. An alternative citizen review process was conducted for the proposal due to the city's emergency declaration, and notice of the application was provided to all property owners within 500 feet. That was provided on May 22nd, 2021. The applicant also held an additional neighborhood meeting to provide ample opportunity for input to the noticing of that public hearing itself, and that was provided on June 8th, 2021. To date, inquiries have been made by the school district as well as some adjacent property owners. One might be here today. I'm not sure if he is here. This was pretty packed. One resident who might be in attendance had concerns about 2-story homes adjacent to his ranch home, and the developer agreed to restrict that area to single-story homes via stipulation 21, which that resident was happy about. And I believe you also might have a speaker here from the Liberty Elementary School District who wants to speak. And with that, staff has evaluated the impacts of this proposed zoning to the greater community, and with no major concerns being found, staff recommends you approve a rezoning of this property from R16 and La Privada PAD to R14 with R14 reduced standards found within the La Privada PAD overlay, provided via stipulations and subject to the stipulations that have been provided to you. I believe the applicant is here. I know he doesn't need to make a presentation, but if you have any questions, he's happy to answer any of those.
No presentation, but just for questions. That's what you're telling me?
That's right. It's up to you, though, Mayor.
All right. Would anybody in the audience like to speak?
Mayor, I do have a
didn't
speaker
ask you.
card.
Do we have a card?
Yes, from Lori Show.
Good evening, Mayor Lord, members of the council. I'm Lori Schuff, proud superintendent, I might add, of the Liberty Elementary School District. And I just want to thank you for your ongoing partnership with education and the long-term planning for our district and city. So this Section 10, and how we refer to it anyway, is part of our long-term plan. And we are just confirming that we do still have a need, even after all these years from the original zoning, for a school in that area. What's interesting, as Christian Williams pointed out, it is a two-part donation. So that's a little unusual for us. We have a 7.5 acre plan in the zoning for La Privada and 7.5 acres for Amber Meadows. So obviously the two halves have to come together to make a good whole to be able to make a school site. We do need the full 15 acres that allows the facilities, the grounds, the playgrounds, the ballparks that go associated with the school and allow for ongoing growth even for future development on that school site. So the stipulation that the zoning provided for the 7.5 acre donation from La Privada be free of the emergency conveyance channel, so that wouldn't go through our 7.5 acres or any trails or easement as part of the 7.5 acres, because if it did, then we wouldn't have a 15-acre school site. But overall, we're just very grateful for La Privada's partnership as well as the City Council. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other speaker cards? All right, thank you. Well, I'm going to close the public hearing. Will the city clerk please read resolution number 2021-2165?
Adopt resolution number 2021-2165, declaring as public records those certain documents filed with the city clerk related to the rezoning case for La Privada.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve resolution 2021-2165? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Stipp. Okay. Which one got it?
Okay.
All right, he's giving it to you. Okay, so open for council discussion. Councilman Hampton.
Yeah, I think this is a great project over there. It makes sense with the rest of the county island housing over there. I think it'll be a good one. The amenities look pretty great too. I think a lot of attention to detail there. I think that'll be a great place for the residents to go. I had a question around, you said the trail system and how it borders the county island residences. You said it's all equestrian or trail system that borders the entire subdivision, or is it?
It doesn't border the entire subdivision, but there will be a trail. So the emergency conveyance channel, which is rather large, that follows the county area for about a half mile, and then it jogs to the north and to the west towards the RID. That trail has the horse trail or the equestrian trail on the bottom of the channel, and then there's a people trail, if you will, up on the western bank. The people trail will continue into Amber Meadows area. The horse trail will border the boundary, but without the conveyance channel.
And the conveyance channel, is that a canal? Conveyance channel?
The conveyance channel, basically in a nutshell what that is if there were some crazy event that occurred with RID, water could flow into that, but it's not for the use of like normal storm events, or it's not a wash. It's just in the event that something, if a lot of water came somewhere, it'd go through that thing.
So is it a below grade then? So it's it's a channel.
Yep, it'll look like a wash, if you will, but it's not really a wash.
Okay, and that's where the trail system is in
the horseman will be down below, and the people won't be up on top.
Okay, and then north there, I know the canal. I think that's the RID canal, right? The large canal.
RID, if I
up
may,
top there, cut it across there.
It goes here. So the emergency conveyance channel goes approximately like that.
Okay, and then I see a trail or a wall against the canal there. I was just curious how the feel of it's going to be, what it's going to look like. I've jogged across that before too.
It'll look like the county residents have a dirt road that's there. Mm-hmm. Then you'll have about 100 or so feet of a nice wash, and then there'll be houses on the far west side. So they have a good distance.
Yeah, I know, and I appreciate you looking out for the, you said the Maricopa County Trail is right there, borders that as well. Will that be dirt, or is that just more sidewalk?
So when there's an adjacent city sidewalk, the standard is you have the city sidewalk and then you have 2 feet of DG on either side, I believe.
Okay.
So you'll have a sidewalk, but you'll have a nice little dirt path to walk on if you'd like to as well.
That's like Pebble Creek or Desert or the South Canyon Trails has that same thing. So, okay. Okay. I've seen people using horses over there. So I'm sure there'll be horses here with the county right here as well, bordering it. So, okay. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Bill?
I tried to follow it. Are the superintendent's concerns addressed in the stipulations?
Yes, so the stipulation calls for 7.5 acres to be held for the school district, and the conveyance channel will not be on the school district site, nor will those trails. Those trails will be maintained by the HOA that eventually operates within La Privada.
So the school district has no issue? Okay, that's my, it sounded like there was a concern, but so I just want to make sure we had that covered. Other than that, I have no questions and look forward to supporting us.
Councilman Campbell?
My question is, do you know if the developer is going to run the HOA or is it going to be an independent?
If the developer will run the HOA, I don't know that off the top of my head, but typically what happens is after there's so many residents in a neighborhood, it gets turned over to an HOA.
Yeah, I know. I live in a community that 35 years later, we're getting ready to turn it over to us. But what I'm saying is that you were saying that the HOA would be responsible for certain things. And I want to make sure that the certain things are taken care of. And that's why I asked, was the developer going to run the HOA or, you know, or are they going to give it to a management company? And you probably have no clue, and I don't either, so.
The developers are the
I think
applicants here.
I think he'd like to come forth and address it. Please tell us your name.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This is Shane Allman with Tiffany and Bosco, 2525 East Camelback Road, Phoenix, Arizona, 85016. So the answer to that is yes, there will be an association to take care of the maintenance and the other common areas of the development.
That's
Thank
great.
you for the reassurance.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because sometimes we have areas that are developed and they walk away and then it just is a mess. So we just want to make sure that it stays as pretty as it's supposed to be.
Yep.
Thanks, Shane.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, Councilman Kano.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. Thank you for the connectivity. I appreciate all the attention on the various types of trails. I think with the rural county islands, maintaining a pathway for horses is really important, but great job. I think it's wonderful.
Any other? I just want to compliment the developer. When you look at that site plan, it gives you a feeling, I found a home.
Mm-hmm.
And the amenities are wonderful. The green spaces, it's kind of a model, I have to tell you, that I'd like to see more of our community developers do. So congratulations to that. And I just, I envy the first family and the rest of the family because it is a super place to call home. So thank you very much. Okay, discussion finished. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Will the city clerk please read ordinance number 2021-1505 by title only, please?
Adopt ordinance number 2021-1505, conditionally rezoning approximately 240.32 acres generally located northwest of 181st Avenue and Yuma Road, amending the zoning map of the city of Goodyear, providing for non-abridgment, corrections, severability, and effective date and penalties.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve ordinance 2021-1505? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Loretano, a second by Councilman Pizzillo. Open for council discussion. All right, let's vote for it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we're number 12. The public hearing is the use permit for convenience use restaurant drive-through. Open the public hearing. Please introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Steve Correcchia, Principal Planner. And this presentation is a use permit proposed in the Pebble Creek Marketplace, and where we are located, McDowell Road, Pebble Creek Parkway, existing Circle K, and we're about 2 acres right here, just west of Circle K and east of the Babbo restaurant there. And the PAD initially approved in 2007, all for commercial use here. Where we're looking at tonight is, again, a shops building that was the PAD intended right here, just south of McDowell Road. And because this is a commercial PAD, all use permits such as a drive-through restaurant, those require approval of a use permit. And so the reason we're here tonight is the use permit for convenience use, which is the drive-through restaurant. Again, the parcel is about 1.9 acres. Most of the site improvements are done for this center, so it will be a pad that they'll be just placing the building on. And it's about 10,914 square feet. And the convenience use, the drive-through restaurant, will be on the west end. And new information, the user has been identified. It's Twisted Sugar, which is what my recollection is, it's a dessert type of restaurant. They'll take about 1,600 square feet of that western end. And this is the proposed site plan. And again, this is the building F that was proposed in the PAD that will be constructed. And the drive-through will take place here on that west end. Now, customers will enter here, then head east, wrap around, drive through here, exit, east or west. Again, if they go east, they can then exit through the traffic signal right here onto McDowell Road. Queuing space has been provided, so they have several cars worth of queuing, so there were no instances of where any backups would affect any public streets. And with this proposal, the developer is also going to place an enhanced canopy over the drive-through window, as well as a crosswalk here that will lead to an open plaza. And these are the elevations. The colors the design is per the approved PAD. What the developer did was try to match the colors to the Babbo restaurant to the west to have a sort of complementary type of look between the restaurant and this proposed shops building. And for a use permit, there are a couple criteria we look at. Will it be detrimental to the area? Will it fit in? And in looking at this piece, its commercial center was intended for this type of use. We do have residential in the area, but it's to the north across a major arterial with intervening open space in our RID canal to provide some separation. Additional criteria that we looked at, parcel side, hours of operation. Again, where this property is located, we did not see any need for hours of operation restrictions. The size of the parcel was adequate, so no concerns were identified through our review. Standard notice and citizen outreach was conducted for this proposal. Staff has not received any opposition to this project. With that, we find that the proposal meets all of our evaluation criteria. Staff and Planning Commission, we are recommending approval subject to 3 stipulations. That concludes my presentation, Mayor. The applicant is here and available for questions should council have any.
Would rather not speak, but just answer questions.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All right. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve a request for the use permit for convenience use restaurant with a drive-through on a 1.9 acre parcel within Pebble Creek Marketplace planned area development subject to stipulations? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell, a second by Councilman Kano. All right, open for council discussion. No discussion, we're all happy. Oh,
I had a quick question.
sorry, Vice Mayor.
So I'm trying to look at the drive-through here. So it looks like it's right up against the canal. It's just kind of oddly shaped between the two. So You go through the main parking lot and then you curve around there. Okay. And then they're going to use 10,000 square feet? Or they're a portion of the 10,000 square feet? So there'll be more shops there along that building as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I wish them all the best. So I think it'll do well. It seems like Goodyear has sweet tooth. So yeah, I think it'll do well. So thank you.
Any other? All right, I'm going to vote on this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. I think we're all looking forward to that one. All right, number 13, the public hearing is a use permit for a convenience use restaurant drive-through. Open the public hearing. Principal planner again, Mr. Horatio, representing.
Thank you, Mayor. Use permit, this time for proposed drive-through restaurant, this time it's Salad and Go. And where we're located here, Estrella Parkway, Van Buren. Single-family rentals here to the east. As we wrap around, we have Sonic, Culver's, Dunkin' Donuts Center here. Centera Crossing is where we are located. Initially approved in 2011, about 2/3 designated for multifamily. Again, that was developed with single-family rentals. Parcel here where we're located is one of the remaining commercial parcels right here. So a little over an acre. Again, site improvements have been done, so we have a pad that the developer will be installing the Salad and Go. It's a smaller building, about a little over 750 square feet. No indoor dining with this use. However, they have 3 methods of providing their product. Typical drive-through, where you have an order boards and then a pickup window. They'll have a pedestrian window where you can park and go up to a window. Also a vehicular pickup window for remote orders that you might place on your phone or such. And this is the site plan. Estrella Parkway coming in along a main drive into the Centera Crossing. And they'll have an entrance here and here from the south. And this is the typical conventional drive aisle, double lanes. They'll come on in and then converge, wrap around. Pickup window will be here on the north side of the building. The remote order will be here on the south side. And you'll notice with this lane, there's not much queuing because you're given a pickup time, so there's really no queuing. You're not coming here to wait, order, and then wait. And then the pickup window will be right here on the west side of the building. These are the elevations. General colors follow the Centera Crossing PAD design guidelines. Salad and Go did like to use their corporate colors, so you'll see some of these brighter colors on their canopies and on their windows. But otherwise, the stucco, the stone, that matches the center. And again, this exhibit just shows you the access that's provided and the improvements that are already completed here, so this will be the proposed Salad and Go. But customers will be able to access from several points along from Centera Drive, from Estrella Parkway, even from Van Buren if they would want to come down to this spine through the center. Again, like the past case, staff did evaluate this per our ordinance requirements. We did find it compatible with the area, with the other existing commercial uses in the area, with the transitional multifamily to the east. No restrictions on hours of operation. We found that the site was sufficient size, adequate queuing space, especially with the double drive-through aisle. Did not anticipate any impacts to any of our public streets. Standard, all of our public outreach was conducted per our requirements. No opposition to this project has been received. And we find it meeting all of our evaluation criteria, staff and the Planning Commission. We are recommending approval subject to the 3 stipulations. That concludes my part, Mayor. The applicant is here, but available for questions if you need them.
All right, doesn't want to come up and speak. Everybody's going to be cheering about that salad restaurant, you know that. So, all right, are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve a request for a use permit for a convenience use restaurant with a drive-through on 1.1 acre parcel within the Centera Crossing Planned Area Development, subject to stipulations. Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Stipp and Vice Mayor a second. Open for council discussion. Yes, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, the community is very, very excited about this use. I think I even just whispered the name that I'm going to be coming here, and people were coming up to me, is that really coming? So the residents are very, very excited about this use. Because of the popularity, I had some questions as well. I know you said you can walk up and get a salad, but how many parking spaces are in this? It's hard to see in this picture here. Is there 3 parking spaces?
Mayor, Councilman, there should be 7 spaces, which met their requirement. Also, there's shared parking for the center. I mean, should you
With
want
the
to park
Sonic?
Yes, to the south, and then walk up. Or if you want to walk from the existing multifamily and walk over.
Okay, and then is that retention landscape, is that grass or is that going to be gravel?
Mayor, Council, I believe it's a mix of DG, landscaping, shrubs.
Okay.
It's not a usable area in terms for customers.
Yeah, and then I know you said there's no indoor. Is there any outdoor seating?
No, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to verify. I know it's going to be really popular. I don't know if it'd be, I'll make sure it's successful as possible. I'm just curious how they're going to use it or how they're going to experience it. I'm trying to think of anything else I had here. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, welcome to Goodyear. I know it'll be very, very popular. So, I guess the queuing, we'll see. We'll see how, hopefully they're able to handle the queuing. So, thank you.
Councilman Campbell.
Thank you. I wanted to welcome also them to Goodyear because I have eaten at many of their locations, and it doesn't take very long once you make your order to drive in and get the salad. You're not there 10 minutes, if that. So even though we were in line, we were moving right along. So it's a wonderful place. It doesn't have a lot of choices, but it has the choices that most people like, and the salads are excellent. So
nice to hear.
We're very happy to have them. This is the only salad restaurant we have in our city. So we're delighted to welcome them.
Any other comments? All right. Let's vote on it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. On the 14, the last public hearing. Oh, the last public hearing. Isn't that nice, sweet words? Last public hearing is amendment to Lot 19 of Palm Valley Crossing Planned Area Development. Public meeting open. Principal Planner Steve Cariccia presenting. Excuse me, Steve. You're on.
All right. Thank you again, Mayor. We are looking at a PAD amendment. We're in Palm Valley Crossing. And right here, it's about 4.5 acres here. It's a developed site. You have 3 buildings here that have been a condominium approved. So you have about 24 suites or units within this property here. Surrounding us, Gates Buick GMC wrapping around. We hit the Ford coming down. Then we hit the property right here. What we're looking at right now is specifically, we'll go in more detail later, but it's this building right here. So this is one that was done in 1995, and it's been amended several times, but I'll just go through the amendments that are pretty much relevant to what we're talking about tonight. So in 2007, this PAD was initially set up for a lot of automobile-related uses. It was expanded, some of those uses, in 2007, and that included this Lot 19 here. And what one of the uses that were allowed on here was guns, retail, and wholesale sales here. And another amendment that happened in 2011 amended certain lots within Palm Valley Crossing, and that allowed gun sales, wholesale and retail, and an indoor gun range. But that amendment did not include the Lot 19, which is our subject tonight. Why that was not included, that was something the developer at the time, they wanted to keep certain uses on certain lots. So they did not extend the indoor gun range to the south onto Lot 19. So again, just to reiterate what I'd said before, the gun range is not permitted on Lot 19 as of currently how the PAD is set up. The request tonight is, though, to add the gun range use, the indoor gun range, onto this property. So it's a very limited, the scope is very limited for this PAD amendment. It's really just to add indoor gun range as a permitted use within Lot 19. The tenant user is Shooter's World, and they'll offer retail sales. They'll have a lot of office use here, as well as a proposal for the indoor gun range. With any rezoning, even one of such a limited scope, there are criteria that we're required to look at, especially looking at the general plan and whether such use would be compatible with the surrounding area. And in doing so, we did find that, again, this is a commercial PAD. The intended use is allowed in other portions of this PAD. It seems compatible to bring this use just to a little further south. We also did not have any residential in this area that we would affect in any sort of way. All standard public outreach was conducted. To date, staff has not received any opposition to the proposal to add the indoor gun range to this property. One thing I should note, there was one owner within the condominium complex, so one out of the 24 suites, that owner authorization form was not able to be obtained from. However, given what we're doing with this PAD amendment, we're not adding restrictions or limitations or taking any use away, but we're actually adding a use to a PAD. We were comfortable with moving forward with this application. And again, we have noticed all property owners within the condominium, and we have not received any opposition. But again, I just want to make the council aware of that. So in looking at this, we did find the proposal consistent with the general plan, consistent with the existing PAD. We find it will be compatible with the surrounding area. As such, staff and the Planning Commission, we are recommending approval subject to the steps in the draft ordinance 2021-1510. With that, Mayor, that concludes my presentation. The applicant is here. No formal presentation, but available for any questions.
All right, great. We'll see. There might be a question on this one. So, all right. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing. Will the city clerk please read resolution number 2021-2171 by title only?
Adopt resolution number 2021-2171, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of Goodyear, Maricopa County, Arizona, declaring a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk entitled Official Supplementary Zoning Map number 21-11.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve resolution 2021-2171? Do I hear that motion?
So moved. Second.
I've heard a motion from Councilman Kano, a second from Councilman Campbell. Open for council discussion. Councilman Hampton.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this use. So it's another one that residents are very, very excited about as well. I've used this amenity in their other locations in the past, so this will be a great thing for the residents and the citizens of Goodyear to utilize. So I know a lot of people are very, very excited. So and then are they buying or using all three of these the buildings here, or is it just the one? Just the southern portion of it. Is it all three, or is it just the southern portion?
Mayor, councils, the proposal is to take all the units, the 8 units So they'll take all of this southern building.
Great. Yeah, I'd love to see. I know this attracts other vendors, like the one in, was that Glendale, Peoria? So it'd be great to see other like uses come to this area as well. So
Sound like more entertainment, huh?
yeah, well, just the retail that goes along. I think there's the clothing and some other users next to the one that's over in I think it's Peoria, that Peoria location right there. So that'd be great to see more things like that here. So yeah, so I think it's a great use. I think it's a great location. I know a lot of people have wanted something like this here for a while. So I think it's a great location there too. So I think that's all I had. So yeah, welcome to Goodyear. So I'm excited to go to your location. So thank you.
Councilmember Kano.
I just want to say thank you for choosing Goodyear, and I understand that the corporate headquarters is moving as well. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Thank you for that.
He's going to go nod.
I didn't
I'm
want to
going to tell you
answer
much
them.
more about it. He's going to nod.
Wonderful. Well, that's what we want. That's a good start because we want more corporate headquarters coming. So thank you.
Councilman Zillow.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome you to Goodyear. It's a site I'll be using as well, so thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, let's vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Will the city clerk please read ordinance number 2021-1510 by title only?
Adopt ordinance number 2021-1510, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Goodyear, Maricopa County, Arizona, conditionally amending the Palm Valley Crossing planned area development dated December 2006 to allow an indoor gun range as a permitted use on Lot 19, amending the zoning map and providing for non-abridgment correction, severability, penalties, and an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve ordinance 2021-1510? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
I heard a motion by Councilman Bazillo and a second by Councilman Stipp. Open for some discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. All right, 15, the item on business is comprehensive, I'm looking forward to this one, comprehensive sign package for the Goodyear Civic Square. Steve, you're back on as a planner.
Yes.
So
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Mayor. Comprehensive sign package, Goodyear Civic Square. Don't really need to show this, but here we are. Right? I won't belabor the point. And again, this exhibit here just shows, an orientation here is this is Bullard Wash, but just shows the 8 lots that will be covered under this comprehensive sign package. And here we go, City Hall, Library, Park, Globe Building, Garage. Again, I won't spend too much time here. It's a couple years since we've looked at the PED, and it was approved about 48 acres here for Parcel A. And just to reiterate, this will become important later. We're looking at a unique project here, a mix of uses in an urban setting. So that's something very unique to Goodyear. And comprehensive sign package, it's coordinated signage, it's enhanced design. Modifications can be requested through this process as long as they can provide justification for those modifications. And if modifications are requested, it is required to go through Planning and Zoning Commission and then approval from City Council. And with this proposal, the CSP, it does include a lot of signage, a full range of signage that you would expect for an urban type campus. Many modifications are requested because of the setting and this unique nature of the development. So there are larger signs, a larger quantity of signs, and many new sign types proposed with this sign package. And the next few slides will just go over a few of the exhibits from the comprehensive sign package. But this exhibit here just shows the design theme, the fonts, some of the colors that the designers chose for this sign package. Some of the main ground signs, Goodyear letters here in the GSQ that will be at several locations. The primary ground, the monument signs here. are these two, primary and the secondary, and then some of the ground signs for the office building. And I apologize, I know this exhibit is just with the scale of the development, but what this exhibit intends to show is just that these little squares will be monument signs into Civic Square. So what's proposed is basically 2 per driveway in off the main streets. And then some of the GSQ letters at intersections. And again, as you wrap around the major streets, a couple more ground signs, again, a couple more ground signs. As we wrap down to McDowell Road, again, a couple more ground signs here, so we can provide enough signage for the high intensity and density uses proposed in this development. Some of the directional and temporary signs that are proposed. Some of the signs here are proposed to be digital, so that is something new that the city will be seeing here in the future. So digital directory signs and electronic signage on some of the monument signs and other directory and directional signage. Wall signage, again, a lot of this signage, a lot of the deviations were because our current city code does not have basically provisions for a unique sign like this. So that's why we had many of the modifications requested. And again, these are the modifications. I won't go through each one because basically in the staff report, a lot more detail was provided, but these are the general categories of some of the signage. And again, you'll see that it's larger signage, it's a greater quantity of signage, and it's new sign types, especially given the unique nature of what Civic Square is. And in evaluating the modifications for the sign package, we look at size and location, the enhancement of the design, and adjacent land uses and compatibility. And part of what the staff looked at with the designers, this is a planned urban campus in Goodyear. It'll be unique, something different, pedestrian-oriented, an urban setting, buildings close to the street, very different from what our normal development pattern has been to date. So our summary of what we were looking at in terms of the sign package design and the modifications, we find that it did meet our evaluation criteria, that we fully understood that the deviations and modifications were significant, but they were appropriate and acceptable given the unique nature of Goodyear Civic Square. And with that, staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission, we are recommending approval subject to the 4 stipulations in the staff report. Mayor, Council, available for questions. Applicant is here. No formal presentation, but available to answer questions.
All right, so at the time that council speaks, thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Can I have a motion a second to approve the comprehensive sign package for Goodyear Civic Square subject to stipulations? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman, but I saw him, Councilman, sometimes I get it right, Councilman Stipp, and second by Vice Mayor Hampton. Open for council discussion. Councilman Campbell.
Will you tell us what the 4 stipulations are, please?
Mayor, Council, I can read them. Is that?
Yeah, I'd like to know what they are before I vote on it.
Okay.
If you don't mind, please.
Yes, ma'am. Stipulation number 1.
If it's long, shorten it.
He doesn't ask for much.
I mean, just get to the meat of it, please.
Stipulation number 1, all signs shall be in conformance with the comprehensive sign package dated June 16, 2021.
Which would be what we're just approving now, but we're, okay.
Yes, ma'am. And that's a standard stipulation. Where stipulation number 2, where permitted within a comprehensive sign package, a monument directional or directory sign utilizing an electronic message display shall only have 1 display per side. So you wouldn't have multiple displays on the same face.
Just, and so we won't have any moving displays.
Right, just 1 electronic display per side. Stipulation number 3, off-site signage shall be prohibited, and that's a standard stipulation. Number 4, other than governmental signage or signage required to be installed by a governmental agency, no signage shall be placed on public property or within city rights-of-way. And again, that's another standard stipulation, no private signs on public property.
But we could put directional signs if we wanted to, or say fair today or something.
Yes, ma'am, public signs. Yes.
Public signs coming into the area. Okay, thank you. Now, do you think we've covered every sign that we need? Because I'd like them to be able to get the signs that they want. I mean, we're not stipulating they can only have 30 signs. So if they find out they need 45, they can get them, right?
Mayor, council members, I do believe they did build in expansion and flexibility.
Good.
To where if a lot was subdivided, they would then add additional signage.
Wonderful. We want it to look gorgeous, and we might as well do it all at once instead of piecemealing it, because everybody's going to be looking for everything, and they're not going to know where anything is. So thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Let's vote on it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we're at 16 on the next businesses is a scope and fee proposal for the West Goodyear Fire and Police Substation. Gentlemen, please introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Deputy Chief Tim Wayne, standing in for Chief Paul Louisi.
Good evening. Deputy Chief David Farrell with the Police Department. Not sure who's controlling it. If you can go to the next slide, please. So we're gonna talk about future Fire Station 188 at the northeast corner of Citrus and Harrison. There are a couple of things that we want to bring you up to speed on and bring you up to speed with some information that we have. So as you can see, the current budget listed at 13.5. We are here tonight. I am here tonight specifically to talk about the $300,000 in police substation costs. While planning the Fire Station 188, staff discussed the option of expanding the project scope to address future police facility needs. West Goodyear is rapidly growing, as we've heard here tonight, with several other developments. And the police department will be seeking an additional substation on the west side within the next few years. Adding programming and design of the police substation to Fire Station 188 results in the greatest opportunity to define the substation building design with the least impact on cost. As such, staff recommends expanding the scope of the fire station build to including planning and designing of a future substation.
Is that it? That's it?
All right, is that it?
Oh.
No, I don't think so. I was waiting.
We're
I'm
moving
glad
quick.
you said it before I
Sorry.
said it. Thank you very much. You take the pressure off me.
Yeah, right, okay. So here we go.
The cost benefits of adding the design of the police substation are substantial and reflected in the fee for the police station optional pre-construction service fee. If the police station is not designed and priced in concert with the fire station and is looked as a standalone project, the associated pre-construction services fee would be increased. In addition to the cost benefits of design and pre-construction service fees associated with adding the police station, the construction cost benefits of constructing the fire station and police station at the same time would be realized, as there would be material and labor efficiencies as well as general condition savings given the resources will be shared. If the police station is not designed in concert with the fire station and is looked at as a standalone project, the associated design services fee would be increased. So with that said, there will be a request in fiscal year 23 for the actual funding for the building of the substation. But at this point, we are looking for approval for $300,000 from the police development impact fees to cover the planning of the police portion of this effort.
And real quickly, I'm going to cover the project timeline and how that changes as a result of adding the PD substation to this project. Fire Station 188 was set to open December of 22. With the addition of the substation, we add 3 months for planning and design and then 4 months for construction. So it moves the project timeline approximately 7 months. it is important to note that those 3 months in design allow us to do a couple of things. Really kind of refine our current prototype for that fire station, look for efficiencies and overall cost savings, which we believe would be substantial if given that opportunity, along with, of course, designing that substation. As we move into the design completion of early 22, we start construction. That's about the same time, with the overall project being completed approximately in July of 23. So 3 months additional for the design and planning, and then 4 months for construction. But that will stand for any questions. I would like to point out that we do have representatives from Core and Perlman in the audience, and I'm sure they'd be willing to come up here if need be.
Thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Can I have a motion and a second to approve the expenditure up to $1,480,000 for project number 3007, Fire Station 188, including planning for the future police substation serving West Goodyear and authorizing a necessary budget transfer? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Campbell and a second from Councilman Vice Mayor Hampton. Okay, open for council discussion. Vice Mayor?
No, I think it's smart to do them both together. You'll save some money, economies of scale, as you're doing both together. It looks like on the presentation that was on here, you have plenty of room to do a lot of different things on this. It'll be able to hold both, I imagine, well. So, and West Goodyear definitely, I think, needs a substation over there with our continued growth that we're going to have. So, yeah, as long as it works, pencils out engineering-wise and the flow, and both departments can utilize it to the fullest, and I think it'll be a great way to use the public land that we have to the fullest. So yeah, thank you for bringing it forward. Looking forward for it to being done. So thank you.
Councilman Loretano?
Yes, thank you. I just have a quick question. Is this something that we'd be looking as a prototype then for other stations as we move like further south along those lines, if we need more substations? Is this something we're kind of using to plan for the future as well?
I could speak for the fire station and taking that prototype design we had for 181 and 186. We saw some things during the construction phase that we'd like to improve upon. And I think along with that, with our partners in Core and Perlman, we can find some significant savings in that overall construction cost too that would really benefit and improve the overall prototype moving forward.
Councilman Campbell?
Yes, I served on the City Public Safety Committee 150 years ago. It feels like that. And our number 2 or 3 recommendation was that every time a fire station was built, that they built a police substation in it, so that our officers always had a place to go and write their reports, refresh, use the phone, whatever they needed to do, so that they didn't have to keep coming back to the station. And at that time, we didn't have a station. So we also recommended the administration building and that the fire department have their own ambulances. So I am so grateful to see these recommendations finally coming to fruition, because it's something we have worked on for so long, and that this city, we weren't big enough to do it, but we were so visionary. We knew we would need it. And so thank you all very much for doing that.
Councilmember Stiff?
Thanks, Chief. I'm trying to use the right terminology. The district setup that you talked about several months ago, I may not have the right term.
Yes.
Does this fit into that? How does this fit into that model? I don't want to call it a substation, because at 184, it's an office space. Is this a bigger space than that? What are you kind of envisioning, and how does that fit into that bigger picture?
Yeah, we're looking at kind of modeling after what we see at 182 down in Estrella Mountain right now, which is where we're looking to divide the city north and south. This would be another step in that direction and advancing that direction. At the current schedules have us going north and south. With this station, this would allow us to continue advancing and add that third section, if you will. We could possibly break up into 3 districts.
Yeah, because I think we talked about that before, about making sure we've got a place on the west side to to address it. So I just want to make sure that the scope of this is large enough to accommodate it, and that we're not setting up a 2-cube office space, that it's big enough to do what we need to do.
No, sir. My understanding is very much likely to be down in 182, where we'd have plenty of room, office space, and evidence rooms, sally port, that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other comment? Well, I totally agree. This is needed. We talked about a long time ago when we were doing the city center. We talked about it. We're doing different, and we're so elongated. And then with all the new West Side development, it really is needed. If we want really safety and good service to the public, we have to do that. We just can't wait for those cars to reach us and take care of the problem. And we're going to have a big population, so we need to help the police advance towards that. So thank you. All right, no more discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. This is the final item on business.
Thank you.
I'm happy to see this. The final item on business, number 17, is the approval of the new 10-year lease to Franklin Pierce University and termination of the existing lease. So, ladies, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Dara Mann, Economic Development Project Manager for Higher Education. I'm very pleased to be here this evening to provide some background information on Franklin Pierce as well as the expansion plans, and then I'll turn it over to Linda to discuss the lease. Franklin Pierce University is a private nonprofit accredited university with its main campus located in New Hampshire. They also operate 3 Franklin Pierce centers, with Goodyear being the only one located outside of New Hampshire. Representatives from Franklin Pierce's Goodyear campus are here with us this evening. Dr. Lisa Zook, Chair of the Doctor of Physical Therapy Programs and Academic Director, and new Program Director Marcy Contreras. I'd like to thank them both for being here, and Dr. Zook is available to answer any questions that you may have. Franklin Pierce was recruited to Goodyear in 2006 and located here just before the recession. They initially envisioned a 20-acre campus adjacent to the proposed city center on Estrella Parkway, but the recession caused both Franklin Pierce and the city to reassess. The university was determined to locate here, and after a couple temporary locations, Franklin Pierce was under contract with the prior owners of this complex when the city purchased the property. They are currently in 14,741 square feet in Building A and offer an extremely successful Doctor of Physical Therapy program. From the first graduating class in 2012 to date, Franklin Pierce can boast exceptional outcomes, even during the pandemic. They turn away hundreds more students than they can accept. This year, Franklin Pierce received 600 applications for 36 first-year student slots. 68% of the students also move here from out of state. After graduation, students go on to work in hospitals, outpatient clinics, nursing and assisted living homes, private homes, sports and wellness facilities, or start their own business. 2012 graduate Dr. Cameron Moore and 2013 graduate Dr. Michelle Moore met, married, and opened their own practice here in Goodyear, Continuous Motion, and were featured in the March in Focus magazine. Franklin Pierce has become a valuable member of our medical community, forming partnerships with Abrazo West Campus and Asante, and provide free physical therapy through the FPU clinic, which will soon expand to year-round care. Franklin Pierce is committed to expanding beyond their existing space. The Doctor of Physical Therapy program will be increasing from 108 to 144 students. This expansion, highlighted in green, will accommodate a new physician assistant program. They've hired a director, Marcy, and are preparing for accreditation. The two-year program will have 36 students per class, with the first class starting fall of 2022. Even before they've completed their accreditation, they've already received over 800 applications. The future expansion, highlighted in blue, transforms the remaining space in Building A into a nursing suite and a sim lab for an accelerated nursing program, bringing enrollment across all programs to 250 university students in Goodyear. The director position has been posted, so we'll be back. A recent economic impact analysis indicates that Franklin Pierce has made significant contributions to the city's economy in the past 13 years. The university helps meet the increasing demand for physical therapy professionals and is one of only a few institutions in the region offering this type of doctoral program. All of the impacts created by the university are expected to increase in magnitude. Based upon projected employment and enrollment, the university could create a total impact of $89.3 million over the next 10 years. The value of continuing to retain Franklin Pierce as a tenant and supporting the university's continued expansion far exceeds the proposed incentive. Thank you. With that, I will pass it over to Linda.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sorry, about midday, my voice started leaving me, so I'll do my best with you. As noted, my name is Linda Beals. I'm the real estate coordinator here at the city. The lease, as noted, is a 10-year lease. The city, Franklin Pierce University is currently within a lease, as was noted. They had about 1 year left on that particular lease. Some of the reasons for moving forward with a new lease was because of only having 1 year left, and plus they had a very convoluted lease because they were under a sublease to like our original lease for the buildings, plus like 5 additional amendments to that lease as we kept expanding before we purchased the buildings. So this will actually simplify their lease incredibly. Right now, their lease is about this thick, and we're going to get them down to about this size. As noted previously, the current leased area is approximately 14,741 square feet. We will be expanding that to 18,208 square feet. The market, we did go out and look at the market. Ironically, Dara and I both did it and kind of we looked at them separately, and then we kind of came together, and we're pretty close in our numbers, so that was pretty good. So what we've started with is their base rent, and then we will move them up annually with dollar increases. What we did find over the past 10 years is those increases stayed pretty current with market, which was really a good thing. I mean, you never are quite sure what the rental market is going to do, but it seems like a good method to continue to move forward, and it is consistent with what you often see in the private market. So we also looked at the operating fee. We made a few adjustments in this, where in the past we literally tracked every single expense and then multiplied that out and prorated it and did all that. It was a very convoluted process, especially for an entity that doesn't have a lot of these type of leases. So we looked at an operating cost. I went back through the cost of what we've had over the last 10 years. We also looked at, I worked with Public Works to find out what is it the Public Works sees with these buildings over the next 10 years, they ironically, when I approached them, had already been working on those projections. So it was great that we were able to incorporate their numbers into this. And we've also been able, like I say, to simplify it so Franklin Pierce knows what their operating fees are, and we don't have 4 different departments trying to coordinate every year to figure out how to do that. So we had it down to pretty much an art form, but I still think this is going to be a much better process. The tenant improvements, we looked at those. Our current estimates, which our current market, as everybody knows, both from a supply standpoint as well as available contractors, is a little bit more difficult to project than historically. So what we did do was take the numbers that we had been able to project with the cost of building the TIs, and we added some additional funds to that just to be certain that we have enough funds to make this happen for them and to make it happen quickly. So we've done that, but we've also made it adjustable so that if the costs are lower than the $400,000 not to exceed amount, we'll make the adjustments to their lease appropriately. The last item that Dara had mentioned was the incentives. One of the key things is, especially at the rate that in the popularity that they're seeing, if that continues, they could outgrow their space. And in a lot of ways, that's a really great thing. But what we really want to do is make sure that they don't outgrow our space and then they have any incentive. We don't want to disincentivize them by saying, oh, you have to pay these additional funds. We want to make sure we give them some incentives, at least, and to stay within the city. So we looked at that, and the incentives that the staff came up with were that after the 5th year, they'll be able to, if they stay within the city of Goodyear, they will be, they can terminate their lease after the 5th year. If they terminate it and leave the city of Goodyear, then they owe us all the unamortized tenant improvements. If they choose to stay within the city of Goodyear, we will forgive 50% of the remaining unamortized tenant improvements, and they will pay us 50% of what's remaining. If they lease by another city with another property owned by the landlord, which at this time is us, and I don't anticipate us leaving this plaza or this complex within the next 10 years, that we would forgive the 50% as if they stayed in Goodyear, but we would also roll the other 50% into their next lease. So now, just to give you an idea, the unamortized improvements, if the total cost was $400,000, that would be $216,000 total. So the maximum amount that we would be forgiving is $108,291 plus or minus. So just to give you an idea, and that's the maximum amount we could be looking at. And, we felt that was more than reasonable in light of when you look at the amount of revenue that they're bringing into the city, as well as just the overall amazing possibilities of having them here as a university. So, and they've been with us for a while. So, they literally was one of the first items I worked on when I started with the city, was working through a lease with Franklin Pierce. So it's really great to see where they've come through these years and where we look to be headed. At this point, what we'd like to do is recommend approval of the lease and also the budget transfers associated with the lease to allow for the construction of the tenant improvements.
Thank you. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Please come forward.
Hello. Thank you for having us here, Mayor Lord and Council. We are very happy. I'm Letha Zook. I'm the director of the PT program. And I would like to state how thankful we are to be here as Franklin Pierce. Goodyear was very proactive in inviting us here, and we've been a part of this community for 12 to 14 years. And I appreciate the novelty of this relationship, that we can have a specific relationship with the city. We intend to be here for a long time, so we hope that, we can figure out a way to do this. One of the things that we're doing is trying to build some unique programs here. As a private school, you have to find your niche and make things work. So we are working on hybrid programs, with the changes that have occurred over the time with the pandemic. We feel like we're ahead of the curve in being able to do that. So I know, Marcy, with the PA program, it will be a hybrid program. So the students will come for intensive lab sessions. And so there will be some changes with that. The PT program is looking at it from the standpoint of doing a mixed model. And so we're again trying to make that happen. The nursing, we are searching right now. So if any of you know any nurses that want to be a director of a program, we would love to have applicants for that process. We are hoping to have somebody in place this year and looking to make some changes and work through our partnerships that we've established with some of the hospitals in the areas here to really make it a unique program for second career nurses who want to take the path straight through and get into the nursing program within a year. So that's where we're looking, and we know that that's a need within this community, and we're working with the workforce community group to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the community here in Goodyear. So we thank you for your time. We appreciate your support in everything we've done and look forward to continuing our relationship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, will the city clerk please read resolution number 2021-2174 by title only, please?
Adopt resolution number 2021-2174, authorizing the city manager or her designee to execute a 10-year lease agreement and associated documents for the lease of a portion of Building A of the Goodyear Municipal Complex to Franklin Pierce University. Authorizing the city manager to execute a mutual termination of the existing lease agreement, authorizing and directing the city manager to approve the required budget transfers, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2021-2174? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Loretano, a second by Councilman Basillo. Open for council discussion. Councilman Loretano.
I just want to say thank you. That's a great program with the need for medical personnel, and I was just very impressed by your graduation rates and your acceptance rates. So keep growing in Goodyear. We love you, and I'm glad we're doing this with you.
Councilman Hampton.
Yeah, I also really appreciate your partnership. I actually attended Franklin Pierce when you very, very first came to Goodyear. So, yeah, definitely a great school, and it's been great to see it grow over time. I'm looking forward. I would love to, selfishly, I'd love to see that 20-acre campus come back to fruition here in the future. But, yeah, I appreciate the partnership. I'm looking forward to it growing. I think medical, definitely in Arizona and Goodyear, I think there's definitely a very strong niche and a lot of demand. So I'm looking forward to it to continue to grow and the program to be just more and more. So, so thank you again for the partnership. The next 10 years, I think will be great. I'm hoping you just are overwhelmed with students and you need more space next year. So we'll see. So thank you.
Councilman Basillo.
Yeah, I appreciate the partnership. I taught your first class here, and it was an accounting class many, many years ago when you first expanded here. I think my students, if I recall, is 4 in the class or something along that. So, again, wish you well. You've come a long way since then. But, yeah, it's been a great partnership.
Anybody else? Well, I'm going to be sure I say something. Since I have an honorary degree from your university, I treasure that. And I remember the day when the board came, and we all met at the wigwam and discussed this. I don't know if you were there. Well, it was just amazing. And so it's grown since that meeting. And your school, your president, the board, they've done a great job. And we really appreciate you sticking with us to figure out how it's going to be successful. We've always known you would be successful because it's exactly what we wanted here in Goodyear. We wanted to go into the medical side. You know, for our population, that is very secure when somebody decides they're going that direction for their life and their training. And you have a variety of training for everybody's taste rather than just, say, doctorate degree. You know, you have really usable graduates that come here, and we're really pleased with them. I'm on the board at Abrazo, so I, know what they've been doing there, and we greatly appreciate that. So let's vote on this, but this is an exciting moment for Goodyear. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Oh, we're finally there. Does council have any comments, commendation, reports, current events, requests for the future items? Yes, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I just want to say, I know you're probably going to bring it up already, but the rec center is awesome. I think my kids have gone like 10 times, I think, over the last couple weeks. So a lot of very excited residents, which I'm sure you'll share the numbers here. But yeah, I think people they're very excited about it. They're glad it's here, and it's a great amenity. And I think people just want to make sure it's taken care of and it continues to be a great amenity. Yeah, I think other than that, I think that was probably the big highlight.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
All right. City Manager, you have the floor if you have anything.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is our last meeting before council break, and I just wanted to wish you all an enjoyable break. We're back on August 23rd.
Me too. Thank you very much. No further business this evening. This meeting is adjourned.